Hello, and welcome to our new Cisilion webinar. So today I'm getting a bit of feedback there. Today we're looking at Windows 365 versus Azure Virtual Desktop. So Windows 365 is obviously the new offering from Microsoft. So we'll explore that today. First of all, we'll do introductions. So my name is Sam Baxter. I am one of the solution architects at Cisilion. Christina?
I'm Christina Bennington. I'm the lead Microsoft consultant at Inti. We are Cisilion's CSP partner.
And I'm Emily Whelan. I am the Azure practice lead at Inti and also an account director.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. So let's get straight into it. So the first question is going to be, what is Windows 365? So Windows 365 is a personal PC for each user, hosted in the Microsoft Cloud and can be streamed to any device. So the key thing here is it offers a seamless experience between devices. So if you are a user working off your office device, let's say you're in the office, you're on your corporate device, you're streaming your cloud PC to that. You open up some apps, you go home, you log on to your personal device, you can log straight on to your Windows 365 device there, usable on tablets. So it's a seamless experience across multiple devices. Windows 365 is designed to be easily deployable and manageable and can leverage some of your already existing services, such as conditional access. The key, one of the key things to bear in mind is that it comes in two flavors. So that is either business or enterprise. The business version is aimed at sub 300 users and comes with a pre-built image gallery for provisioning of Windows 10 devices. And then later in the year, you'll be able to build out Windows 11 devices as well, once that's in general availability. Key thing to note here as well is that some of these Windows 10 images also have apps built in. So you can deploy these devices with Microsoft 365 apps already installed, so that you're getting your users up and running even quicker. On the enterprise side of things, that's for the 300 plus users, and that also comes with the image gallery. But not only that, but you can also upload and use custom images. So if you've got an existing VDI deployment where you're utilizing a golden image, something like that, you can then upload that image to Windows 365 and use that. As well as that, the devices can be managed through Microsoft Endpoint Manager as well. So if you're already utilizing that technology, you can really strongly leverage that to help manage your estate. And the focus of today is going to be around that enterprise offering that Microsoft have. So the question is, why have Microsoft brought this out? I think the answer for me is that, we're living in hybrid work now. In case you can tell, I'm not in the office, not like Emily. Don't think that's home for her, hopefully. But hybrid work's here to stay, and this offering helps organizations give their employees a consistent experience across the board. Windows 10 is something that we've all gotten used to in the last few years, and being able to access that experience on multiple devices, whether it's whether it's your work PC, whether it's your home PC, whether it's your tablet, regardless of the performance of that device, is a really strong proposition from Microsoft. I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that. That's my view on it.
No, definitely. I think even pre-pandemic, we were working towards a more kind of flexible way of working. And I think this is what Cloud PC and Windows 365 offers, is that kind of scalable way of working, for sure. And
yeah, I love being able to work from home. It's great. So the more things that come out that allow me to do that, the better, to be honest. Cool. So, what are some of the benefits of this? How do you guys see it? What do you think are some of key things of this Windows 365 offering that make it a strong argument.
I think you touched on it briefly in your first slide there. It's all about the simplicity of the deployment. So you can choose the size of your cloud PC that best meets the needs of your organization. It's got per user per month pricing, and you've also got that choice between business and enterprise, again, depending on what your requirements are as an organization. The simplicity doesn't just stop there, though. It's really easy to manage in the admin center or in Endpoint Manager, the same way that you're managing all of your other devices, and you can easily apply all of the same policies that you've got on your existing devices to your cloud PC as well.
Yeah, I think especially looking at some of the deployments of it I've seen, these devices are being provisioned incredibly fast. So from licensing and giving the user a provisioning profile, 20 to 30 minutes later, their cloud PC is ready, which is phenomenally fast compared to normal VDI experience. I think the other thing as well, which is great, is the security side of things. So it's leveraging all of the things that everyone's come to know and love from their hybrid work, which is things like MFA and conditional access, being able to use things. If you're on an E5 license, risk-based policies for accessing these devices, which is so important, especially when they're people are working from anywhere now. And that is the design of this. It is mobile. You can, the classic coffee shop, whatever. I haven't been in one in ages, but if I were to go there, I could, obviously use this device. And as an organization, you want to know that when your users are out there and accessing these cloud PCs, that they are who they say they are. And that's Microsoft's zero trust approach to things. I think the other thing to touch on probably is the watchdog service.
Yeah, definitely. So that watchdog service is a sort of analytics piece. So it allows you to run diagnostics to ensure that the connections between the PC are all kind of up and running at all times. So, for example, that diagnostic check fails, you'll get an alert from Microsoft, and they'll give you suggestions around how that you can correct that issue. So it allows you to be kind of more proactive and ensure that you're always getting a good service.
Yeah, and I think that joined with the ability to resize these cloud PCs is really strong. So using those watchdog analytics to look at, whether users are having performance issues and they're just not telling you, because users can love to be silent sometimes, and let you know much further down the line when things haven't been working. But you'll get visibility on that. If they're utilizing all their memory, CPU, they run out of storage, all these other everyday issues, you'll be able to get visibility on that. And the ability to resize these cloud PCs seamlessly for an end user, right? You just go in, you give them a new license, everything stays the same for them. It's just the next time they log in, their device is a bit more powerful. Is great, and that gives us a lot of flexibility to this offering. Cool. Anyone got any other benefits?
Yeah, I think just highlighting the cost model as well is important, because having worked in the Azure practice at Inti for the last year, we've seen massive growth in Azure Virtual Desktop. One thing customers have been looking for is that predictable cost model, and I think Windows 365 offers that per user per month pricing, simple licensing that is similar to how the Microsoft 365 stack works, is a great benefit and easy for customers to manage. Yeah, definitely agree. So I guess in that case, what are some of the use cases for it? When we look at, when we look on the, Microsoft released this, they were, talking about, it being fit for interns, contractors, software developers, designers, a whole range of different jobs there. How do you guys see it, and what have you seen so far?
I think with it being such a new product, there aren't really any kind of hard and fast use case scenarios necessarily. And having spoke to some of the Microsoft employees and how their sales people have been pitching it to customers have kind of been coming up with their own use cases for it as they go along. But Emily and I were actually speaking to a partner yesterday who is looking to roll out Windows 365 to a particular customer of theirs that works with a lot of contractors. Their staff turnover of these contractors is pretty much every 6 months or so.
Yeah.
And their current setup is to send out hardware to these contractors. After 6 months and their contract is ended, they then send the hardware back to the IT partner. It goes into storage, so that they then have to pay for the storage, they have to pay for all the postage costs and things like that. Whereas if they were deploying a Windows 365 license, it makes it much more flexible for them. They can literally just spin up a system as needed and pay for the licenses that they need, rather than the back and forth of hardware all the time. So
yeah, and I think probably the interesting thing in that scenario is, if it's got to go back into storage and then you're taking it out to dust it off for someone, it goes to IT, they open it and they think, oh my god, it's however many versions behind, and the software needs to be updated and everything else. So yeah, you might get it in another week or so before I've updated it. Whereas obviously, like when you're a cloud PC, keeping it up to date is fairly, well, it's not your job at the end of the day, is it? Which is okay by me. Yeah, so that flexible worker model, I guess, where you're either onboarding or offboarding people quite regularly as well. I think, with the different propositions you have around it within the either the enterprise or the business side of things, you've got multiple SKUs. You can go up to, what is it, eight cores and 32 gig of RAM, and it's all SSD. That is obviously more on the expensive side of things, but if you've got users who need that function, so yeah, as Microsoft say, the graphical designers, people who need those sorts of things, being able to like flex up and down with that, I suppose, could be also quite cost effective, depending on what they need to do.
Yeah, definitely. Using that example of the graphical designer that you've mentioned there, their kind of day-to-day might just be using a standard kind of PC, and that kind of gets them by. But then maybe a large project comes along and all of a sudden their PC isn't performing as well as it should be. Perhaps they need some more storage or anything like that. Instead of them having to go out and then invest in new hardware in order to service this opportunity or this project that they're working on, again, they can just easily spin up that Windows 365 PC and then scale it down again as needed once that project's over, or even cancel the license.
Yeah, so I guess that poses the awkward question for organizations that have invested in a lot of hardware. Is this potentially going to replace that at some stage? Are you going to be looking to just have those, what traditionally were thought of as thin clients going out, or in the case of contractors and stuff, we know that a lot of contractors bring their own devices. So BYOD, is there that need for organizations to invest in a lot of expensive high spec hardware?
Definitely. I think that particularly that bring your own device, it brings a lot of opportunity there. And Windows 365 provides you that ability to have a really simple device that then taps into a scalable cloud solution like Windows 365.
Yeah. But I think there's also going to be those people who want everything on their device at the end of the day. They want their devices. They want everything on there, and it's like all things, right? It depends at the end of the day what's going to be the right fit for people. I think the other really compelling side of this is the fact that you're just streaming it. So when and I've sort of dipped back into the benefits here, but when you're looking at people working from home and having bad internet connections, and let's be honest, that's kind of what we've seen over the last 18 months or so. Everyone went home, and suddenly realise that actually their internet isn't that good, especially if you're uploading, downloading files. You know, if you're not accessing it or just working strictly out of the web, especially for those graphical designers who are downloading and uploading things all the time. You know, having really restrictive internet connection does hamper that to the point where some people just, you know, close their laptop and I'm watching TV instead, or something like that. I wouldn't know, but you know, just having that ability to stream the device, you know, and that's the only requirement you have. You know, that's not dissimilar to requiring something like Netflix, you know, which everyone knows and uses. And I think that's one of the strengths of it as well. You know, it is that work from anywhere.
Definitely.
Good. So in terms of the pricing, you know, what the cost, what you can get for it. You know, there's a multitude of SKUs.
Yeah, you're telling us. Yeah, so there's a variety of different SKUs that you can choose from. It's so many different options depending on what your requirements are when it comes to CPU, RAM, storage, whatever that might be. So yeah, there's so many options that you can choose from to kind of flex it up and down as you need.
Cool. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think, yeah, you were saying to me there's too many options at some point. It gets a bit confusing. You don't know what to, you know, don't know what to give people at the end of the day, really. I think that's going to be the big question for organizations, isn't it? It's going to be, we've spec'd everyone with this hardware at the moment, but like all things cloud, you know, you're building it to fit exactly what the demand is. So, you know, if you're giving people over-spec'd devices, it's not as cost effective to do that in a, you know, a hosted environment.
I think Microsoft have simplified it a little bit. You'll see on their website they've kind of bulked it up into kind of different buckets. So they've got basic, standard and premium for both business and enterprise. So it covers off some of the SKUs in there. So you might be able to kind of pick and choose which ones are going to be best for different users off there.
Yeah, just like Azure Virtual Desktop, there will still be an element of user profiling that will need to be done, understanding how that user works and which applications they're using and picking the right license for them. But just like Office 365 and Microsoft 365, you can mix and match depending obviously on users' needs.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, it's a good point. You know, Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365, you know, they seem like very similar products. So I guess the key question to organizations now is, what's the difference? Which one do I choose? So, you know, if we cover off some of, you know, what we think the major differences are to help differentiate the two, that would be, you know, I think that's the next good thing for us to cover off. So, you know, what do you guys see as the big difference between the two?
Yeah, so Azure Virtual Desktop is managed completely in the Azure portal, whereas Windows 365 is managed through Microsoft 365 Admin Center. One of the key differences for me is with Windows 365, you're getting a dedicated cloud PC or virtual machine per user. Now, one of the benefits to Azure Virtual Desktop is the Windows 10 multi-session. Now, this can be really beneficial to customers depending on how you work and how many users you have, because it means you can have multiple users accessing one session host or virtual machine at a time. They can be pooled, which means that you can get massive cost savings from that, rather than paying for a virtual machine per user across your organization, including the fact that you can auto-scale the machines on and off in Azure Virtual Desktop. So if you're only accessing or needing to access those session hosts between a certain time, say that's 7 till 8 p.m. in the evening, you can switch them off and only pay for what you use. So AVD definitely has a lot of customization and flexibility that it offers to customers, which can bring that costing down. Whereas Windows 365 is simplified, it's per user per month cost, but you do have that dedicated machine per user. So those are some of the differences I'd like to highlight. And also with Azure Virtual Desktop, you also can do remote app streaming as well, which you can't do currently on Windows 365. So I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything to that, but those are sort of the main ones to highlight for me.
Yeah. I was waiting to see if Christina there as well.
Everybody's the Azure specialist, Ali.
Yeah, I think that's it is ease of use at the end of the day, isn't it? Win 365 is that option for people, and I think especially with the ability to, if you lack that expertise as well, having updated pre-built gallery images and stuff can assist with that. Having the ability to build a provisioning profile for a user and then just assign a license and have that all do its magic in the background, which is really, what SaaS is all about at the end of the day. Makes it good. And there's pros and cons to both at the end of the day, and it can be. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think both offer similar benefits, and there's some differences. So it depends on how you work as an organisation, but both allow you to have that hybrid remote working. But the main difference is obviously, for me, the cost model and the simplification of onboarding and stuff like that. So, yeah,
and it's just the questions that organisations have to ask themselves at the end of the day. There's all kinds of different states out there at the moment, and it's from having on-prem VDI, do they look to move that to cloud? Do they really try and simplify with Win 365? There's a whole host of options out there. So we've got a question, which is many would ask: is cloud VDI safer, faster, cheaper than on-premises hosted VDI? That's a good question. What are our thoughts on that?
I would say so. I mean, things like Windows 365, as you mentioned, they're built and designed based on the security paradigm of zero trust, and they're integrated into things like Defender for Endpoint and things like that. So I would definitely say they're a lot safer than on-premise. A lot can go wrong with your on-premise VDI.
Yeah, and I think if we look to address each point, safer's a fairly abstract term at the end of the day, isn't it? I mean, if you've got it on-prem, you can build it to whatever however safe you need it to be, however secure you need it to be. Obviously, when you do move to AVD or Win 365, you're then leveraging Microsoft's security, which is world class. And while people like a few years ago, obviously wasn't as good as some of the other ones out there, they've made that investment. They've really brought themselves to the forefront with that. With Microsoft Defender, you've got all sorts of products within that are kind of first in class now. Having that in a secure data center, having the zero trust framework sat around it as well, I'd argue that's pretty safe. And kind of ties as well into the cheaper question mark point, which is maybe you could do it yourself, but how much is that going to cost you? How many specialists are you going to have to hire? How many brokering appliances, how many different other technologies are you going to have to bring in order to get what you want? Rather than everyone's using Microsoft in some form or another today. They've already got existing licenses, so why not try and leverage what you've already got? Why try and use what you've already got?
Yeah, and I think the cheaper thing is necessarily it's the customization and scalability you get with these offerings with Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop, which you can't get on-prem, and that doesn't always necessarily mean cheaper, but it does mean that you can work easier as an organisation and scale into other solutions much easier. And there is ways that you can optimise that and make those costs as predictable and cost effective as possible. And you can do that in numerous ways. So just making sure you're on top of your users' needs, not overspeccing, making sure you're only paying for what you need.
Yeah.
And then that's when the solution becomes cost effective, more so than on-prem.
Yeah. Yeah. We had another question, which is, you still need a device, right? Is that not really expensive? Which is a great point, and that's definitely what I've seen from a lot of questions around at the moment, which is this idea that not only are you buying this device that a user has to use, but also, you know, you then got to pay for a cloud PC for them to use as well. So why not just doubling my cost? And I think the key thing here is it is those use cases. It's you know, you do have the ability to trade out for a thing like, you know, where you would spend maybe £2,000 or £3,000 on a really high-end machine for an individual. You can give them something that's much more lightweight and you know, give them the ability to stream. And you know, in some cases that has its benefits, where you know, if they like I said before, if they've got large files that they're uploading and downloading and doing stuff with, you know, it's going to be much quicker for them if they have a lightweight device that they're then, you know, remoting into their cloud PC. And then, you know, it's sat up there literally next to their file shares, so that transfer rate's a lot quicker. Or, you know, in the case of people who are bringing their own devices, well, there's no cost there at the end of the day. You're just providing them access to stream. Did I cover all the points? Did I leave nothing for anyone else?
Yeah.
I think the key there is looking at Windows 365. It's obviously a software as a subscription model.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the benefits of it there. It's that scalable, flexible solution that you don't need that really expensive upfront hardware cost, as you said, and you can then just deploy the Windows 365 to give you those additional capabilities as and when you need them.
Yeah, it's that classic, you can use any device anywhere that you're familiar to with any M365 Office 365 solution. Cool.
I think we've got one more question, which is definitely going to be for Emily and not for me, but what is the benefit of app streaming? So that's on the Azure side of things.
So, yeah, that isn't available for Windows 365 at the moment, but Microsoft released an update where other software providers can now put their applications into Azure Virtual Desktop as a cost, so you can access those applications from anywhere, not just the Office applications, to put it really simply and high level. But yeah, that's sort of it really. You can access your other applications. Other people can put their applications into Windows 365 as a cost. Sorry, not Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop as a cost. I'm confused with the name change. I still haven't got used to it yet.
It was all a mystery, and now it's very clear as to what happened. Cool. So, you know, there's a lot to go on there. There's a lot to chew over. So that, you know, I'm going to hand over to how we can help, which is the next. Yeah. Cool. So we have seen what's going on. Are very aware that, you know, the whole reason we're hosting this webinar in the first place is that it can be a bit of a minefield. It's a bit unclear as to, you know, what suits your business needs at the end of the day. You know, should you go with AVD? Should you go with Windows 365? So what we at Cisilion have put together a competitive offer to compare the two. So what we're going to have today is high level, but what we do part of that offering is we, you know, come in, we sit with you guys, we chat to you, demystify it a bit, the world of cloud computing, and then, you know, to truly test which suits you, We stand up both instances and give your pilot set of users a go on both. They can jump on Win365, they can jump on AVD, and they can feedback to you what they like about one, what they like about the other, and really get an idea about what's the best fit for your business or organization. And really, this is about making the most informed next step on your hybrid workplace journey, because it's here to stay, and it's really important to know your path for that journey. And you can find, if you've registered today, you'll get information about our offering, or if you've done it anonymously, then you can always go to our website and find out. Cool. And I think that's it. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for those who have joined and watched. Thank you, everyone else who has contributed. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Emily. And
thanks for having us.
No problem.